What's up guys, Hervé here, and today we're going to talk about Solasta, Crown of the Magister, and is it worth getting in 2022? Now, Solasta, Crown of the Magister is an RPG game developed by game studio Tactical Adventures and released back in 2021. The gameplay is based off of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rules, but it is not a copy-paste of what you'd see in something like the player's handbook. Now, we'll be dividing this game review into 3 sections: gameplay, story, and replayability. Then we'll have a final verdict in the end whether or not it's worth getting in 2022. Now, I hope you stick around till the end, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the game after watching the video. Let's get started. If you've played D&D 5e before, then you know exactly how the gameplay works with Solasta. If this is your first time being introduced to the 5e rule set though, then think along the lines of Divinity Original Sin 2 for a similar gameplay experience. Before starting your new adventure in Solasta, you have to either create your own character or choose from a selection of pre-made characters. Character creation isn't anything too fancy, pretty standard as to how character creation in games go. I don't usually mess with character creation, and when I do, I just try to make them look like myself or some kind of Viking from the Northlands. You get to choose your race, background, starting class, and equipment as well. You have the option of taking a glimpse of what your chosen class features are at higher levels to help you figure out what playstyle you want to go for. Your selection here will impact what dialogue your characters have in-game and the possible quests they can take. You get introduced to a faction system in the game, which I am not mentioning to avoid spoilers, wherein you can increase your reputation with these factions to access different items or crafting recipes. Now, there's no way to be in good terms with all factions, so choose wisely. Do you decide to choose the faction beneficial to you, or do you go with your morals and values and support the side that matches with yours? Combat is turn-based. All players and NPCs included in the battle roll for an initiative score to see who goes first. A turn is basically divided into 3 actions: action, bonus action, and movement in any order. As you level up, you gain character features that allow you to take more actions or make better use of them. All this is explained very well in the game's introduction, so you don't have to worry about being overwhelmed by the mechanics. What I do have to say about the combat is that some areas like sneak attacking seem to be hard to execute properly. In a legitimate tabletop game of 5e, it seems easier to execute since you have a DM that guides you through the process of everything. In Solasta, everything is more automated, which makes things feel like they move too fast, not allowing you to realize why your attempt at a surprise attack failed. Then again, 50% of my party was walking around with heavy metal suits, so maybe that's why we always failed with stealth-related actions. There are several locations you can explore in the world of Solasta, and you reach them by traveling on foot or through a fast travel system you access later on in the story. In my opinion though, normal travel by walking is always better since there's a sense of suspense as to what you'll encounter in your travels. To travel, you'll need to have rations since every time your party makes camp while traveling, they each have to consume 1 piece of your food rations in your inventory, otherwise they won't be fully rested. During your travels, your party hunts for food and looks for ingredients that could be useful for crafting. But what you really want to look out for are the combat encounters along the way. Sometimes you find them, sometimes they find you. Make sure you're ready to take them on since there's no going back once you initiate the fight. It's kill or be killed. Don't be too scared though, the game is balanced all throughout, and I only had 1 instance where I had to roll back to a previous save because of a fight I couldn't win. And while we're on that note, I'll squeeze in and talk about the saving system in Solasta. The game autosaves every now and then, and you can control the maximum amount of autosaves the game makes while you play. Now, other than that, you'll have to manually save the game if you want to try something you think is stupid or try an encounter you're not sure you'll win. If you lose an encounter and don't have a manual save just before it, you'll have to roll back to the most recent autosave or pray to the dice gods you get high rolls as you try again. And that about wraps it up for the gameplay side. Now let's move on to the story. As with most turn-based RPG games that I've played, it's the story that really hooks me in. Solasta is no exception. It's suspenseful enough to make you want to know what happens next and how it plays out. Voice acting is great, even though the animations of the models don't quite fit the emotion being portrayed. Now, character building occurs for both your characters and for other NPCs that the party encounters. You are able to finish quests that dig deeper into the stories of your party as well as others. These quests also have effects during future encounters in the main story, making finishing every side quest worthwhile. All quests, save for the quest board quests, all have meaning behind it and never feel like they're put there only for extra rewards. Solasta's story is the strongest at the start, where there isn't much that the player knows and the hunt for information is the strongest. As the story progresses, you're able to piece together your own little theories with the bits of information you've gathered. While doing the main quests, you're also able to come across encounters that allow you to learn more about the world of Solasta and its history, provided that your party succeeds in their history checks. To be honest, it was the story and how each of the main quests ended that kept me going till the end. During the last parts of the story though, it feels a little bit rushed, and again, I won't go into spoilers here, and the ending leaves a bit more to be desired. There are characters in the final battle that, while you do meet them beforehand, suddenly come out of the blue with no prior explanation at all. Don't get me wrong, the final battle was really epic, but lore-wise, the ending didn't feel like it answered all the questions I had and fulfilled the mysteries we were uncovering. Now perhaps it's set up for a sequel, or maybe the DLC Lost Valley answers some of my questions, but I don't have the DLC yet and I don't plan to get it as of now. The story starts strong but has an average ending despite everything making sense due to its sped up feel. Now last but not the least, we go into replayability. One of the great things that make turn-based RPGs like Solasta take so much of our time is the replayability factor. Now, I finished the game clocking in at around 48 hours total. When you finish the game, an epilogue plays and the game ends with the credits rolling and the main theme of the game blasting in the background. While you can't go back with your endgame level characters and retrace your steps or revisit places, what you can do is make another party that's completely different from the one you just finished the game with. As mentioned in character selection earlier, there's a bunch of classes and backgrounds for you to go around and play with. Different classes make for different combat experience and different proficiencies with dice rolls. Different backgrounds come with different dialogue options and different background quests. While the game itself isn't that big and you can probably explore everything there is to see in your first playthrough, you can definitely mix and match different party members to create a different experience playing the game all over again. Now I'm actually about to jump in again, but instead of using a sword and board fighter, I'll be using a hybrid two-handed fighter that switches to a bow when needed, partied up with a cleric with a shield and a free hand for support spellcasting, a dual-wielding ranger, and a full-on DPS sorcerer. Pretty standard, but still different from my first run. Story-wise, replaying the game and choosing different dialogue options or opting to not do certain quests probably won't affect the ending too much, and that kind of sucks, but having another round of D&D 5e is always a welcome option for me. Now, I'll slide this in here because this probably greatly contributes to the game's replayability, but I haven't tried it yet. The game has something like a dungeon maker mode, where people can make dungeons, encounters, and campaigns made available for others to play. They probably won't be full-fledged stories like the main story, but being able to interact with the community like this is a huge plus in itself. Plus, the game community already has modders working on mod campaigns. In conclusion, to answer our question of whether or not Solasta Crown of the Magister is worth playing in 2022, it most definitely is. If you're someone looking to get into D&D 5th edition, a veteran of the tabletop RPG, or just an overall fan of turn-based RPGs, you'll be sure to get your money's worth with this game. The game may not last that long, and the story loses some of its charm with the last few main quests, but there is the DLC Lost Valley to keep your interest if you find yourself itching for more adventure in the world of Solasta, not to mention the community-made campaigns and dungeons. The game is available on Steam and I got it on sale there, but if you do have the Xbox Game Pass, you'll find that you already have it. Hope you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.